Welcome back to the show, and continuing on with that same topic of the election, and we've been talking about politics as we got a chance to do in our last segment. This time, I want to talk about getting people ready, prepared, registered for the election. And we have a really, really fascinating guest. Joining us now on the show is Professor Rona Robinson-Hill at Ball State University. She is a St. Louisan. She's home right now, and she still, of course, is teaching at Ball State. But she's very much involved in this election with getting everyone registered for the election. She's working with Win with Black Women.
Yes.
And so how are you? And thanks for being with us on the show.
Thanks for having me, first of all. And yes, this is the first time I have been this engaged in the election. Of course, I worked the polls when President Obama ran. But when I got the notification, that Kamala had stepped up on July 21st, and Win with Black Women sent out their announcement that they were having this Zoom call, and I was right there.
Yeah, you were part of that.
Yes,
40,000 plus.
I was part
right?
of that. Over 44,000 women on one Zoom call.
Wow.
I mean, I just can't even describe it. This season we're in, it just seems so ordained by God.
How would you describe the presence or spirit that Vice President Harris had on that call with you and the other 44,000 plus women?
She did like most Black women do. She knew her role was vice president. As vice president, if something happens to the president, you have to step up. She knew that. She did not shrug her shoulders. She did not say, oh, I can't do this. She picked up that mantle and said, yes, I will take your place on the ticket. And that just shows how she knows that she was born to do this. She was born to do this. Her mother prepared her to do this. And she has never, I'm just so proud to be a Black woman in this moment, because we have such an amazing Black woman that's going to lead this country, get us back to the democracy that we all so deserve. And since she's been fighting for the people all of her career, this is just a big stepping stone for her.
And the word democracy continues to come up. In the last segment, you were here to see when we talked to author Pierre Blaine about democracy. You mentioned it here. And one of the things that you're doing right now as part of that, appreciating the country's, possession of democracy, is you're getting individuals registered to vote.
Yes.
So how's that coming along, and what's the process? When's the deadline?
So voting is our power. Our ancestors died so that we in this generation can vote. I'm having a voter registration drive on Tuesday at Wold Center, and it's from 1 to 3. We're having it in the neighborhood where I work out at, because we want to make sure that everybody in St. Louis feels included. We have tons of volunteers that are ready to come out and serve our community to get them registered. They are able to register. If you're anti-computer, we have hard copies of the registration form. But we know that Wednesday is the last day to register to vote. So having this interview is giving me a platform to let people know Wednesday is the day. And if you can register before Wednesday, we would truly appreciate it, because voting is our power.
Now, I do know that you've been active in the community, getting people registered to vote. You've worked the polls before. What is your sense of this election? We've heard that this is an election like none other when it comes to people having interest and wanting to get registered to vote.
Well, I have had mostly positive responses. I send the text messages out to make sure people know, because Win with Black Women, they even have on their website a way for you to register to vote, to check the ballot, to make sure you are registered. They have all of that on the website. And so I've sent that out to tons of people to make sure you check, because checking that you are registered is basically the beginning of your voter plan. Because if you get downtown or wherever and find out you're not registered, then that could be a deterrent, and then people could get discouraged. But most of the people in my village, in my family, in my circle, we are very excited about this election.
Absolutely. Win with Black women. They've been around now for a number of years. They were very active with Kamala Harris and her bid with vice presidency.
Correct,
right?
correct. And they have been, they were established in 2020, and they are very active in any issues pertaining to specifically Black women. They made sure Biden, they were in his ear to make sure that that he chose a Black woman that would be able to step up to be president if she needed to. And because of that, she could not disappoint, and she has not disappointed. And they are the best. They are the best. And every Sunday we have a call, and it's almost like a sister circle of 4,000 or 5,000 women from all over the world.
Okay.
Because it's not just people in America that's on that call. And we just get a check-in, we get an update, a national update. We're finding out, how many people have already voted based on Republican versus Democrat. We're getting receipts. This young lady, Reese, with the receipts to dismantle the lies that are being, on TV. She gives you the truth of what is really going on. We have people that are monitoring our Facebook. All of those platforms, and they're giving you actual numbers. So it's almost like I'm in class, and you don't want to miss those calls. And it's from 7:30 to 9:30, 10 o'clock.
So you say it's like a class. What do you mean by that?
Yes, it's like a class, because with Win with Black Women calls on Sundays, they bring all the information that we need when we go out into our communities, when we're talking with our families on why we should be voting the Harris-Walz ticket. You get Reese with the receipts. And so this week she gave us, not this week, but last week she gave us receipts about Walz, him being a coach, all of his integrity and positive things that he's done. But Star Jones is on there. She's talking about how much money we've collected and telling people they have it documented down to if you gave $5, if you gave $1,000, you gave $300,000. They are just so transparent. And then on Mondays, we have calls within our state. So there are at least 30 plus state teams. And some states like California, they have 2 teams, a northern team and a southern team. And we have to turn in, it's almost, I'm serious, it's like you're in school, because we have to turn in documentation on Wednesdays on what we did for the week. And therefore then they publish what some of us are doing. They give, and they'll highlight, about 3 or 4 states on Sundays to show us some little videos and just to keep us all motivated and excited. And everybody is excited. This week they did a nice expose on young people, talking to young people, and the young people talking back to us, saying why they feel comfortable voting for Harris and Walz. It's something I have never seen before, and I'm just so grateful that Joteka Eddy started this. She's still at the helm, and it's a multi-generational organization. Okay. So they have members that are 95 years old down to members that are 23 years old. Wow. So it's a sisterhood that I know I will continue to be a part of even after the election.
Yeah, 95, 23, that's a wide range there.
And so they had them on the first call.
Okay.
They had Mama Dukes is her name. She's 95. And I can't remember the young lady's name, but she was like 19 when they started, and she's about 23, 24 now. She was a college student.
I want to ask you this question because our last guest, Arthur Pierre Blanc, I asked him the question. The enthusiasm, the energy that you're having here is just really it's thrilling to watch this happen and to see you, the spirit, the zeal that you have as you discuss it and talk about it. But I want to ask you this question, and I did pose it to him. What do you say to those that say, I'm just not, I don't know who, and I don't see either party maybe addressing a particular concern, need, or so I'm just going to sit it out. When you're trying to motivate others, tell them about why they should vote. What's your reaction? What's your response to that?
And that's a great question for me, because I just had that encounter today with one of my past students from McKinley Classical. And she was like, I'm not going to vote for Trump, that is for sure. But I'm still not sold on Kamala Harris. And I said, well, why not? She says, well, I haven't done my research. I said, exactly, that is the problem. And so when with Black women, they bring us the research. And I said, this young lady has been for the people for over 30 years.
Okay.
So everything she does is for the people. And so now she's on an even bigger platform, the United States of America, to be for the people. I explained to her that, yes, she does have a Indian mother and a Caribbean father, but her mother raised her as a Black girl.
Okay.
She embraced her Blackness and went to Howard University. She pledged AKA, which is a Black sorority.
Yeah, the oldest.
So, yes, so she embraces who she is. She does not look Indian like her mother did, but her mother did not do her a disservice by saying she raised Black daughters. And that is what the world sees right now.
Yeah.
And when I finished talking to her, she says, yes, you have definitely given me some food for thought. Yes, I have given you food for thought. We cannot throw this vote away on an independent when we have only one candidate in the race that is for the United States of America.
Got to ask you this question too. Do you have concerns too when we have celebrities? You talk about us not maybe doing our research. And we saw this with Janet Jackson and comments about Kamala Harris. And do you worry about the effects, the influence? People, I mean, tremendous entertainer. And when they make statements, how do you respond to that?
Well, it's more entertainers that are for Kamala Harris than against.
Okay.
Our past president, he's in lawsuits from trying to use people's music that did not give him permission. I have not heard the story personally, but I've heard about it. And I feel sorry for her because I believe it's going to come back to bite her with her fan base, because the majority of celebrities out here are for Kamala, mainly because Kamala is for the United States of America. She's not just for one set group.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know that. Again, that's why the election is so different. So much information out there like that, where people basically have to really do their research and find out for themselves. They can't just go by what they hear or see something online. There is going to be a need to do the research.
And if you want to come to a class where they've already done the research, get on the Win with Black Women calls.
Okay. It's easy to get on the calls.
Yes, they're easy to get on the calls. Now, they're not over 44,000 on the calls on Sunday, but I'm still there every Sunday, and they're over 5,000. Yeah, right. But on the Zoom call, there might be some other people on other platforms that are accessing into the Zoom call, but on the Zoom call, there are at least 5,000 women every Sunday.
Talk about the process of getting registered to vote. You know, what it takes. Do you have to go in person? Can it be done online? You'd have to talk about that. Tell us how the whole process of ways you can get registered to vote.
So getting registered to vote is for the virtual users, the computer users, and it's for the traditional users. We're bringing hard copies of the voter registration card when we have our event at Wold Center on Tuesday. Excuse me, but I text my family the Win with Black Women website. They just log into the website, click, and they already have by state. You can check your registration, and then you can make sure you're registered, And then if you're not registered, you can fill out the registration form for your state right in the comforts of your home. Takes maybe less than a minute.
To get registered.
To get registered. But the first step is to make sure your registration is valid. That's the first step you need to take. And that's part of that first step in your voter plan. Once you know that your registration and you are registered, now you need to make a plan. And the Democrats of I'm working also with the Democrats in Missouri, and they have a plan where you can, if you need a ride to the polls, you can contact them, and they will pick you up.
You know, I want to ask you this as well. I'm asking here. You mentioned the age. You put an age out there of a young lady. You said 19. You mentioned 23. It's just been my, I'm a teacher, and I just kind of watched this phenomenon happen of young people that seem to be. Some people might say, well, they're not motivated, they're not interested, but also, I don't think that's true, making a general blanket statement like that. But I will say, I don't know if there's a strong effort to go after them. You're doing it with your voter registration, but it almost seems like there's a generation that we're saying they're not going to be interested, but we don't have to go after them. Because there are so many young people, as you know, who are not registered, and maybe because someone like yourself, you need more to help you with it, and certainly win with black women, that's the objective, they're doing that. But reaching out to them, going to them, and maybe going, what's the old saying, you got to go where they are, right?
Exactly, and Win with Black Women has an initiative for that. They've gone to the historically black colleges, they've gone to the predominantly white institutions, the predominantly Hispanic serving institutions, and they are registering people. They had a national registration day for college students. I have she's like a daughter of mine, she turned 18 today, and she was at an event in Kansas City, and somebody was talking to them about registering to vote. She called her mother, and her mother gave her information over the phone. And this was in March, so she was 6 months shy of her birthday. So I think there's a different lens and a different climate that young people are wanting to vote. And I'm so excited that she'll be getting to vote for a black woman. Her first person to vote. And my children, in their first election, they voted for President Obama. And she's the last of our 5 children, because I have 2 and my best friend has 3. And she's the last of their 3 children. And her first person to vote for will be a black woman.
That's awesome. I bet you remember your first election you voted in too, right?
Yes, but I don't remember the president. What I remember about my registering to vote, teachers were on strike in St. Louis Public Schools. They had employed Reverend Jesse Jackson to come down and talk to them. So we didn't go back to school after Christmas. It was still March. And it was in 1979. And Reverend Jesse Jackson said anybody that was 17 and a half and older, he marched us to the voter place, and we all registered. So that's what I remember about becoming a voter. Not who I voted for, but it was in 1979.
And we should say, at 17 and a half, you can get registered, you just can't vote till you turn 18 though, right?
But see, the election wasn't going to be until November, and I was going to turn, because it was in March, my birthday was in April, so I was going to be 18. So I was eligible.
You were eligible.
I was eligible.
How about that? All right.
And he walked us from the, I don't know if it was the cathedral downtown. It was in 1979. The teachers were on strike for over 3 months.
And he walked you there.
He walked us, and it was a whole line of us. We were 2 by 2s.
Getting voted.
Reminded you of something down in the South.
Yeah.
And so that is what I remember about when I became a voter.
Fantastic. Well, I tell you what, Dr. Rona Robinson Hill from Ball State University in St. Louis, right? We are so proud of you. Thank you for being on the show. That is Dr. Rona Robinson Hill. That's going to wrap up our show. And be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel. Keep up to date, subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.